Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of The Third Degree. I'm your host, Sid Rosenberg, and today I'm joined by one of the all-time greats, Hall of Fame wide receiver Don Maynard. Started his career in 1958 with a giant team that played the Baltimore Colts in the greatest game ever played. Eventually went on to play for the New York Titans, the New York Jets, and the St. Louis Cardinals. By the way, Don will take part in a big golf event coming up the day before the Super Bowl in Tampa, January the 31st, Saturday, January the 31st. You can learn more about the tournament. You can play with Don Maynard and a bunch of all-time NFL greats. Just go to www.opensports.com/HOF for Hall of Famers, HOF players, and learn more about the tournament. Again, Don Maynard and a bevy of Hall of Famers will be there. Your chance to play with them. There are spots still open. With that said, I welcome in the great Don Maynard. Don, good afternoon, pal. How are you?
Well, real fine. Thank you a lot.
Nice to have you. How's that golf game, by the way? How's that handicap?
Well, my handicap's a little different than most people's. You know, they got the numbers one way. I got them another. You know, I'm a 2 handicap, but that's 2 on every hole. The real golfers, they don't measure it that way. But you know, I enjoy playing. It's always great to play for a great cause and be a part of it, and to help some other things, and then also to thank you guys, and also thank the great people that pay to play with some of us guys.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I know that you guys are raising money for some of the other players. You know, Don, I've had the opportunity the last couple of years sitting down with guys like Mike Ditka and Harry Carson and the former Green Bay Packer Jerry Kramer, and even talking to guys this week like Jim Hart, who was your teammate in '73 in St. Louis, and Paul Krause, and how some of these guys are really upset and bitter, even at Gene Upshaw, God rest his soul, about the way some of the players that played in your era have been treated with very low pensions and no health care. So this is a very honorable thing that you're doing, and I wonder, are you one of those guys that is a bit angry with the way the modern-day NFL treated some of your brethren?
Oh, yeah. I stay angry all the time with stuff that goes on, you know, just like, you know, if I made $1 million, I'd sign a contract, and I'd write out a check for $100,000 to the Dire Need Fund, boom, just like that. But some of these guys today, they're a different breed of people. You can tell by their showboat act on the TV now and then.
Oh, I agree. Now, you're a guy who was a big-time wide receiver, Don, a Hall of Fame wide receiver, and today that position has become the selfish guy on the field, whether it's T.O. in Dallas or Chad Johnson in Cincinnati or Plaxico Burress with the Giants or Steve Smith in Carolina. For some reason, Don, all of a sudden, your position, the wide receiver position, has become the diva of the NFL.
Yeah, it depends. It still goes back. It depends on the individuals, you know. It's amazing. Some guy makes a run, and then he catches one pass maybe, and then jumps up, and you'd think he'd won the Super Bowl. Right. Then you go back at the end of the game, and his team lost, and his actions didn't do a bit of good.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's amazing how they tend to celebrate for reasons that aren't really all that celebratory. Okay, let me ask you this quickly. You played in a lot of big games, obviously, big playoff games with the Jets and AFL championship games, but 2 games in particular. Your rookie season, 1958, as a New York Football Giant, taking on the Baltimore Colts in the greatest game ever played, and of course as a starting wide receiver with Joe Namath in Super Bowl III for the Jets, again against the Baltimore Colts. Bigger thrill for you, Don, that game against the Colts in '58 or beating the Colts in Super Bowl III?
Well, they were naturally both part of great history, and you know, it's always nice to come along later, and I even wound up and played in the first Monday night football game. But at the same time, it's kind of when you win that big ball game that they give you a ring, and somebody said, well, they was real interested in getting the ring, and I said, no, I'm more interested in the money. And I said, I don't want no check. I want you to fill my barrel up with dimes, you know, so I can really feel what I got.
A big game coming up here, Steelers and the Cardinals, Super Bowl 43. What are your thoughts on this big game coming up, Don?
Well, I just go and watch them, you know, and it's kind of, I chart ball games all the time, and it's real interesting to watch pro football or college football. I think a lot of these coaches need to figure out that when it's third down, whatever it is on third down, you better get whatever the yardage is that you need, instead of 1 yard and 2 yards, and then you just punt. Some of them don't add the arithmetic very good.
Well, like wide receivers that run 6-yard patterns on a 3rd and 9? Doesn't make any sense to me.
Not one time. I played with over 25 professional quarterbacks, and it was great when Joe came along. And not one time in his career, when you needed 10 yards, you got 12.
Right.
If you needed 5, you got 7. If you needed a touchdown, you got a touchdown. You saw a couple of games this year where somebody missed out on getting the first down or a touchdown by the width of the yard marker. And a couple other games like that, and there goes their chance to get on down into one more game towards the playoffs.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. You're right. So last one, you talked about playing with 25 different quarterbacks, including Joe Namath in New York. What is it like, Don, being with the Jets, and your quarterbacks are Dick Wood and Galen Hall, and then all of a sudden, Joe Namath comes to town?
Well, Joe was kind of well known as he got out of college down in the Sugar Bowl against Texas and all, and then later on coming to the Jet camp. Well, Joe came in, he got big bonus money and so forth, but nobody resented that at all. Everybody was glad because we even got a little bit more money. And then as you saw Joe play, I kidded him as we discussed things as communications, and I said, Joe, I'm going to make you a better quarterback, and you're going to make me a great receiver, but we're going to talk on every play or set it up ahead of time. And I pay a great compliments to the other teammates as receivers on the Jets, George Sauer, Pete Lammons, Bake Turner, and myself, and Namath. We had one busted play in 10 years. So all these teams that have all them busted plays all the time, I'm amazed why they ain't got their plans figured out ahead of time so you don't have busted plays. We didn't have any, and shoot, I can show them all how to not have busted plays.
Yeah. Well, on the way out, you may not have had any busted plays, Don, and your offense had perfect synergy and real good chemistry, but have you played golf lately with Namath? Because he's a crazy man on the golf course.
Oh, yeah, he's kind of dead serious, you know. I played with him down in Florida a couple times, and then he's got a tournament up in New York out on Long Island that he does every year for charity. So it's a great time to team up or play or just visit with old teammates. And we had a 40-year Jet reunion. We had the 50-year sudden death game played, and it's nice to look forward to this coming Super Bowl.
Absolutely. Well, Don, listen, it's great to talk to you, buddy. Hall of Fame wide receiver, 58 Giants, all those great years in New York with the Titans and the Jets before retiring after the 73 season with the St. Louis Cardinals, one of the all-time greats, Hall of Fame wideout, Don Maynard. Don, thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you. You have a great year.
You too. And this interrogation is over with Don, and so is this show. But, of course, make sure you tune in each and every day to opensports.com, where the future of sports on the web is open. We'll see you next time.
Think you can complete the drive? Play today and get an automatic entry to win daily prizes, 2 tickets to the big game, and a brand new car. Start your drive today at opensports.com.